On this episode of the Clip Service Podcast, the Los Angeles Clippers split the last 4 games, 2 wins, 2 losses, a loss to the Celtics and a loss to the Suns, and wins against the Washington Wizards and the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. A lot to take away from these 4 games, a lot to like. It really, except for the last game against the Suns, which Rola and I will have plenty to discuss that we didn't like in this one. But a lot to cover, guys. Those 4 games, a stretch of games coming up on a road trip, some chatter around the league, maybe some trade talk, and Rola's going to try out a new segment. So all of that and more coming up. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rola, and this is my co-host Nick. Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it, indeed, guys. Just to just to preface this episode, I didn't hardly eat lunch today. Kind of just came home to start recording this from work. Not recording this from work. Just came home from work to start recording this pod. So I'm gonna be eating. I'm gonna be eating throughout this episode. It's gonna be a little ASMR, maybe. It is a poke bowl, so it's gonna be a little mushy. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that in advance. Maybe I'll mute my mic when I can. But guys, I'm so hungry, and I just had to do it. So,
we get it.
Just wanted to let you guys know that. Cheers to that. Got a little rice,
Yum.
Chopsticks here,
and kind of going off that. We will introduce a new segment, kind of an integrated segment, called "Are You Salty or Not?" And in this segment, I'll be asking Nick, little questions, asking for his opinions on little things, and he'll add a little dash of salt to his food if he's feeling salty, and if he's feeling good about it, he'll take a big old mushy bite. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Of some, what is that? Spicy salmon?
No, we got If you guys really want to know,
let the people know.
Yeah. So in my poke bowl, we got salmon, we got crab meat, we got tuna.
Whoa.
Spicy tuna, a little spicy tuna in there.
I feel that.
We got white rice, obviously for the base, green onion, cucumber, avocado. We're doing a little bit of edamame. Did I say edamame already?
No.
All right, edamame's in there. Green onion, masago, which for those of you that don't know is fish eggs. They don't do a whole lot, but I feel cool putting those in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Oh yeah, and some spicy mayo and some house sauce.
Hell yeah, man.
I don't know what the house sauce is, but it's good.
I think it's like a mixture of soy sauce, teriyaki, and some other good stuff. But thanks for that breakdown, man.
Of course, dude. That's what I'm here for.
That was almost as good as your basketball breakdown and analysis.
Almost.
But today I'll be leading the recaps.
Yes, he will.
We had a 4-game stint in between this episode and last episode, which started off with an overtime loss to the Boston Celtics. In this game, I remember last episode, we anticipated a bench lineup due to a couple injuries and a couple time restrictions. And we saw a starting lineup of Derek Jones Jr., Mo Bamba, Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, and Kevin Porter Jr. And from that starting lineup, we saw heat, fire, intensity, passion.
We did see a lot of passion in this one.
And I'll start off by saying I saw a lot from my boy. Well, I don't want to say my boy because we know
I was gonna say
we know his history.
a player that plays for the Los Angeles Clippers, Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, can't be on his side too much here, but he plays for my team, so when he's on that,
And he had a
floor,
good game, and he's been playing well lately.
But yes, he had a
I'll
good
give
game.
him that.
26 points, 7 assists, 7 boards. Amir Coffey at 24 points, 2 assists, 3 boards. And Derek Jones Jr., he came out balling, 29 points, 1 block, 3 steals, 3 assists, 7 boards. And, not a bad showing from our bench either, but I got to say this starting unit, they came out. I think Nick mentioned last episode that this was kind of a trap game for the Boston Celtics, and our team came out wanting it so much. And over the course of the game, I mean, it started out. I believe it started out 33. The first quarter ended 34-33. Clippers were up by 1, and then throughout the entire game, it never seemed like the Celtics were gonna take over. I mean, this is a reigning championship team against our second and third string team, and we had players that wanted it. At the end of the day, I think that's kind of the biggest part about a team is if you want it or not. And I think this type of mentality can take us far in the playoffs. But in this game in particular, man, Derek Jones Jr. was really showing out and showing how valuable of a piece he is. And, the Boston Celtics did not look like that championship level team. And, it ended up going to overtime and we ended up losing. But, Nick, how did you feel about us pushing the Boston Celtics to overtime?
Honestly,
before you speak, brother, I'm gonna need you to add some salt or take a fat.
We're starting this.
Yeah,
okay,
that was the question.
I kind of a loaded question because after the game, I was obviously
I'm gonna
salty.
need you to take. I'm gonna need you to take.
Put some salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pinch some salt in that boy.
Just for you guys can see, this is my poke bowl. Oh, there it goes.
A grain of salt.
There
A
it
rock.
goes. All right.
Is that a lot?
Does it? No. It's probably more than I want on my poke bowl. But I'm just gonna mix it up, guys. Fuck, this is gonna be
we got
long...
3 more, bro.
Yeah. So it's a loaded question though because I think after the game I was salty. I was pretty salty, honestly, more salty than I should have been. Because, I mean, obviously I wanted the Clippers to complete the comeback, and or like not even a comeback because they were kind of like hanging around all game. But I wanted the Clippers to the deep bench Clippers to beat, the Boston Celtics, who they were missing a couple pieces, Porzingis and Drew, but that's still impressive. So I was a little upset for that reason that they didn't do the unthinkable or whatever. But at the end of the day, I was really happy with this I mean, not the outcome, but I was happy with the game and what I saw on the court for a couple of reasons. One, as Rola touched on, Derek Jones Jr., who has been starting, kind of our de facto starter for a little while, has really been struggling from offense. The last pretty lengthy stretch of games, but this game, he didn't think about the shots he was taking. He was kind of just going for it, letting the offense flow, the team's offense flow through him. And you can see it in the box score. 29 points, had a huge steal, was getting to the rim, was shooting threes. That was the biggest thing for me. He was 4 for 7 from three. He's really been struggling from three, and that was good to get him his confidence back and get his shooting stroke back. But I think it was good for, a lot of other guys too. Kevin Porter, really solid game from Kevin Porter, like Rola said. Amir Coffey, who's been great, continued his process. Gave Terrence Mann, some playing time and allowed him to kind of try and get his confidence back. Our bench, we didn't have much of a bench in this one because our bench was starting, but our de facto starters were pretty solid in this one. Mo Bamba wasn't great. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in terms of like front court needs maybe at the trade deadline. Mo Bamba's really been struggling lately. I don't know if he's the answer at the backup center, but everybody else has been pretty good. And I think that this game was important in terms of just getting guys reps and getting certain guys confidence. At the end of the day, it sucks to lose, but um, taking the Celtics to overtime in a game that we had no business winning is great. And I honestly thought that this might be a trap game for the Celtics, and it kind of was. I mean, the Celtics didn't play horrible, but they didn't play great. So,
but I and also kind of to add on that, like when you see how the regular time ended with Derrick Jones Jr. kind of us locking in on defense. Derrick Jones.
Sorry,
Jr.
Rola. Can you hear me chewing?
No, you can't. You can't.
Okay.
Don't chew a little bit soft.
Okay.
But when you see how we ended the regular time, it just kind of to me felt like we could actually win that game, although we didn't, because I think in overtime situations the better team usually wins, because your stars can lock in enough for 5 extra minutes to win you the game. And I think that's what happened with the Boston Celtics. But, man, that was a close one. It was a really close one. But if you don't have any other comments on that one, Nick, we can move. Oh.
No, my only comment is that I took a bite of the part that I salted for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. Another one's coming up.
A nice little surprise.
All right, so the next game, I'm not sure what day this was on. But
the Wizards game?
Yeah, the Wizards game.
Wizards game was on. Oh, sorry, that was a really salty bite. The Wizards game.
This was a back-to-back game.
It was.
This one was on the 23rd.
It was. Sorry, I got my mind on my food right now.
The next game was the Washington Wizards. This is not a good team. I'll say that first and foremost.
Just to start off, this is not a good team.
Just to start off, first quarter, we, for lack of a better phrase, punched them in the mouth.
Right in the mouth. Right in the old kisser.
Jordan Poole might know something about that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No pun
went right over my head. God, Rola, you're so good at this.
Dude, thanks, bro. Yeah, so, the Washington... I mean, if you're a fan of basketball, you know that the Wizards stink. They're 1 of 19 away. And they're, this was a game where we look at both rosters and we think... The Wizards have no business being with us. They have no business even being close to us when it comes to the score of the game. And that's what we saw. The first half, we dominated pretty much the entire first half. I think second half, once we started giving a little bit more playing time to our bench unit, they started to come back a little bit more in the third quarter. Fourth quarter was the game was pretty much over. But we saw a pretty good game from James Harden, a triple double, 17 points, 13 assists, 12 boards. Norman Powell has been our offensive juggernaut with 22 points. Another note on Norman Powell, this dude deserves to be an all-star.
100%.
I feel like it's been discussed, but I feel like he hasn't gotten the hype he does. You good, dude?
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm a mess. My water bottle just leaked all over me. Yeah, I'm just covered in water right now. Anyway, sorry, Rola. Continue.
No, you're
Norman
good.
Powell, All Star.
I feel like he hasn't gotten the hype and the flowers he deserves. Um, and when you look at his numbers over the course of the season so far, he's right up there with all of the All Star starters. And I better see his name called up when they release the All Star reserves coming. I don't know when they release that, but it should be right like within the
It,
next week or two.
yeah, I would say it's within the next couple of days. I'm not 100% sure, but
Right.
sorry if I
So
could interject real quick.
hmm?
It is tough, because there's so much. I want to believe that Norm is going to be an All Star, and I think he definitely deserves it. But it's like everything's so narrative based, and there's politics
Yeah.
involved and stuff like that. It's
Mm.
just like, you know, I don't know. It depends on which team you're on and everything like that. I'm hopelessly, or not hopelessly, I'm hopefully going to see Norman Powell, get an All Star nod for the first time in his career, but I'm a little skeptical as well. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's like I said, it's he hasn't been getting the flowers he deserves, and I think he could be overlooked potentially on this aspect. I mean, when you watch those, the more popular like sports shows on Sports Center or First Take or any of those like other sports shows that like talk about the NBA, I feel like he's not talked about on that level with the other All Stars, and his numbers show that he is. So I just wanted
I
to
will
make
say I'm a
that.
little surprised, like with how, there was a little segment on First Take or something like that where they
Hmm.
had Norman Powell on, to kind of
Oh,
like
that was
talk
on.
about like make
Yeah,
was
I
that on
think that
First
was
Take?
that. I think that was Sports Center before
Okay.
one a game.
And I was
Um,
surprised. I was like, okay, like hell
yeah,
yeah, Norm's getting some airtime and people are
and
talking about him,
right, and
which is cool.
they pulled up the stats of all of the five, you know, Western Conference starters, and the dude had better stats than all five of them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say better stats, but he was on par with all five of them. And he was just standing there looking at the stats, and he was like, "What more do you guys want from me?" And we can't ask for anything more. I mean, the dude himself said that when Paul George left, it was addition by subtraction, and we're literally seeing the Clippers haven't lost a beat because you can't replace a talent like Paul George. Not only with the scoring, but with the sheer size and athleticism of Paul George defensively and offensively. You can't replicate that. But I mean, scoring wise, Norman Powell has given us what Paul George gave us, and that's a fact. But kind of
Yeah.
going back to this game,
Yeah, sorry.
there's honestly not too much to talk about. This is a game that our starters didn't struggle too much on. Derek Jones Jr. had 19 points, 8 boards. Kawhi had 15 points, 7 boards. This was a game where all of our starters came back, and honestly, they kind of just did their thing and hopped back to the bench and allowed our other players to get more time. Amir Coffey had 10 points off the bench. Mo
There
Bamba
was
had
one
13.
thing.
Mo Bamba had 13 points off the bench, and kind of leading into the integrated segment.
Ugh,
Nick, please let us know
dude,
how you're
I'm gonna
feeling.
have to put
Are
salt
you
on my.
salty, or are you feeling this? I mean, you can't be feeling good about this, but Terrence
About
Mann,
what? Yep.
Terrence Mann started and ended the game with 0 points and played a total of 19 minutes. 0 of 3, 0 of 1 from 3, 4 boards. He did have 5 assists and 1 steal. How,
Um.
how, how are you feeling about that? Especially with the trade
Okay.
deadline coming up.
Okay. I'm gonna salt it, but there's also a caveat to this, so I'll explain after I salt my food. So you guys see it? Yeah, just a little bit.
Nice.
Do I have to take a bite too?
Yeah, take a good one.
Take a bite. All right, guys. Sorry to talk with my mouth full, but I'm going to. Um. Actually, no, I'm not. That's really gross. Give me one sec.
It's not gross, dude. We can't see shit, bro.
Okay.
There you go.
So basically, I mean, if this game is a microcosm of the whole situation with Terrence Mann, I think the one thing that I could say is that it has been difficult to see, and this is something that we're kind of used to, at times. It's kind of difficult to see Terrence Mann squander opportunities. Um, we know what he provides from a hustle standpoint, from like a
Mm-hmm.
defensive standpoint, but I think it's time for him to get aggressive offensively because that's the one thing that really sticks out. And that's at times the one thing that we really need from him. And he doesn't have to be shooting lights out from three or from mid range, but just taking shots and trying to get looks at the rim. And only three shots and 0 for 3 is really tough. I don't think it's the end of the world. And I've heard a lot of things about Terrence. Especially over the course of the last month, I heard that his partner like had cheated on him with like
What?
a soccer player or something.
Who?
I have no idea. I'm not super in touch with it, but if you look it up, it was someone that played for like Real Madrid or something.
What?
I think
I
so.
didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I could be completely wrong,
Damn.
but I heard something along those lines. So there's that. Obviously, him breaking his hand. But I've also heard the opposite side of this. And then obviously, when Terrence starts playing poorly, the trade rumors start to come about, and people start wanting to trade him for whatever reason. I mean, I get it. I get the frustration, but he's one of those players that a lot of people like to put in the trade machine. But I've also heard on the opposite side of the spectrum that Terrence Mann is kind of not untouchable, but Lawrence Frank is holding Terrence Mann to like a higher priority in terms of like giving him a chance to prove himself and stuff like that. He's not going to be one of those guys, from what I understand, that the organization is just going to ship off. I think that they value the fact that he was drafted as a Clipper. He's really made a career for himself. He just signed an extension. Like we said before, I think it would be doing him a disservice to get rid of him so quickly. But it is disappointing to see games like this where Terrence, especially offensively, is not showcasing something. So yeah, I'm a little salty about it.
I was also salty, but good thing I don't have to take a bite.
I was gonna say, lucky for you, you're not eating.
Okay, but moving on to the next game on this past Saturday against the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Milwaukee Bucks.
The Milwaukee Bucks. This game ended 127-17, Clippers dub. This was a huge game solely because we saw James Harden kind of look like vintage James Harden. 40 points, 9 assists, 5 boards. This is a game where I feel like he was just in his bag. And I gotta say that was, to me, the highlight of the game was James Harden completely taking over. I feel like this win was due to him. And I gotta say, it's games like these where you appreciate having a superstar like James Harden on your team to kind of like take you home, because this game was really close. The first quarter ended tied 28. Second half ended with Milwaukee up by 1. Third quarter ended with the Clippers up by 1. And, fourth quarter was where we kind of took over and won the game. And, like I said, these types of games, you got to look to your stars to win you the game, because that's what they get paid for. That's why they make the big bucks. That's why they get the fame and the fortune, is to win you games like this. And, it just always feels good to beat a playoff level team like this.
Especially one that Doc Rivers coaches.
Yeah,
That's always awesome.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that, but since you did, we'll get straight into it.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta get my food again, guys.
How do you feel about
Just hit me with it.
about Doc Rivers taking a fat L against his former team, the Los Angeles
Dude,
Clippers?
I'm not salty about that at all. Thank you, Rola. I'm gonna enjoy my
take a good
unsalty
bite.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. It feels good, man.
That's why we're friends.
I think everyone knows how we feel about Doc Rivers, man. He he was a part of the Clippers' resurgence, or the Clippers becoming the Clippers of today, with the popularity we have now. And without him, we wouldn't be here. But man, this dude has caused a lot of trauma and depression in my life. He's made a lot of mistakes when it comes to the Clippers, but like we've said on many occasions, he's a good dude. He's a good guy, but when it comes to coaching, he is not the guy you want. Because when it comes down to making adjustments and comes out of the playoffs, he's just not gonna do it for you. And I think this is a lesson the Milwaukee Bucks are gonna have to learn the hard way, and I think they will. Do you have any comments on this game, Nick?
I do actually. I mean, it wasn't like the Milwaukee Bucks played horribly or rolled over or anything like that. Dame had hit some big shots. 29 points from him. Was 1 for 9 from three, and that goes to show you that Kawhi Leonard, since he's been a Clipper, has done a great job against whatever team Damian Lillard's on. I mean, when he was with the Trailblazers, those were the nights that Dame and CJ would struggle, and it continues kind of on with the Bucks. This is something that I actually didn't realize, that this is the first time that the Clippers had beat the Bucks in LA since like 2018 or something.
Damn.
Or 2019. So really big win, and Giannis did his thing. Giannis kept getting to the line, which he does frequently. Giannis kept getting to the line, and I assumed that he would miss free throws because he does sometimes. Giannis was 12 for 15 from the line, and he kept hitting them, and it was honestly shocking. But Giannis ended up finishing with 36. But on the Clippers side, one thing that Rola touched on that I want to kind of piggyback on is this was truly a vintage Harden game, especially in that late third. You saw it. He was taking shots in rhythm. The rush hour handles came out, and he was breaking down the defense and shooting over the top. He was in his step back game. He was hitting floaters. And Kawhi, and that's not to say that Kawhi wasn't good either. Kawhi was solid, in his minutes restriction and everything like that. He was solid as well, with 18 points in 24 minutes. But what we saw from Harden was not only made me really hopeful for the version of Harden we're going to get throughout the rest of the year, but just hopeful for him as an individual, staying focused and staying engaged, because that's one of the knocks that a lot of people give to Harden is like, oh, he just kind of craps out halfway through the season. But that didn't happen in this one, and it could be the strip club, it could be whatever, out of shape, but that has been the narrative. But in halfway through the season, seeing James Harden kind of turn it on like this, it's awesome. It was awesome to see, and we needed every bit of it against the Bucks. I mean, we only won by 10. And at times, it felt a lot closer than that. It was a lot closer than that. Norman Powell was great with 33, but to me, James Harden, 4 for 10 from 3, 12 for 24 from the field, 12 for 12 from the free throw line. I mean, that to me is the that's the beauty of the whole game overall.
And kind of to piggyback off your Giannis free throw comment. I mean, the Bucks had a good free throw night, but the Clippers didn't miss a single bucket. I don't know if you saw that.
A single free throw?
Yeah, the Clippers didn't miss a single free throw. They went 28 for 28, and I think that...
Wow. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I think that's kind of like a lead by example type of thing where, James Harden is getting to the line, Kawhi is getting to the line, like our starters are getting to the line, and they're hitting their free throws. And then, we see Amir Coffey get to the line and hit all of his free throws. You see Kevin Porter get to the line and hit all of his free throws. And I think that's just the right trend and message to send from your starters, honestly.
Yeah.
Overall, a great game. Fun to watch. And... yeah, kind of. That was the high point of the week, and kind kind of ended on a bad note against the Phoenix Suns last night. Um,
I'm about to pour salt on my food
you're about
after
to
this game.
pour salt on your food because this game ended 109-111. Phoenix Suns take the dub. Um,
Worst loss of the season, I think.
I wouldn't go that far. This was a
I
brutal
don't know,
loss.
dude. I hate the Suns. I
This was
really
a
do.
brutal. This was a brutal loss. I don't think it's a secret. Everyone knows that we don't like the Phoenix Suns. I would say the number one team I hate is the Los Angeles Lakers, and a close second is the Phoenix Suns.
I would say the
Because
Mavs are tied.
the Mavs have caused me a lot of rage
Grief, yeah.
um, and grief, but well, not grief because we've beaten the
That's
Mavs.
true, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
but
true. I forgot.
I have raged a few times. I've had my fair share of rages when it comes to the Mavs. But the Suns are a team. Well, it's not only that the organization I dislike; it's the players that I dislike. It's the way they carry themselves that I dislike, and it's just the overall team at the end of the day. So this one's a tough one to see. This is a tough one to experience, especially with how close the score was and the way we played and the way we played like we didn't really want it. And this is a game where you feel like you see the Clippers play against the Bucks and you're like, okay, this is what we can be. And then you see us against the Suns and you're like, well, if we lock in just a little bit the way we locked in against the Bucks, this is an easy win. I don't want to say easy win, but this should have been a win. But like our starters didn't. It wasn't like they played poorly. I think it was just on the defensive end where we kind of lacked. I mean, Norman Powell had 23 points, 2 assists, 5 boards. James Harden had a decent game offensively with 24 points, 10 assists, 6 boards. Zoo with a double, 25 points, 16 boards. Kawhi on a minutes restriction, 28 minutes, with 17 points, 5 boards, and 2 assists. And then, a great show out from Derrick Jones Jr., with 12 points and a plus 20 overall in the game. But I think we kind of lost this game on the defensive end where no one really was trying. Our bench unit had 0 points. Or, sorry, not 0 points, but 0 field 3-pointers made and 3 field goals made for a total of 8 points. And then, we're seeing the Phoenix Suns just kind of get any shot they want. This is a team that's kind of been struggling offensively a little bit recently. Not recently, but, this season. And this kind of leads me to the last Are You Salty or Hungry segment.
Is that what we're calling it? I thought it was something else.
It was something else, but I forgot.
All right. Look.
And the final topic is, how do you feel about the Clippers allowing the Suns to take 47 3-pointers?
I don't want to ruin my food, or else I'd just dump salt on this. But I'm definitely going to give it some salt, because I'll explain after I salt this. That was a lot.
Yeah, we're salty about that one.
Yeah, so what it really boiled down to was, obviously the Suns shot a lot of 3-pointers. Budenholzer teams shoot a ton of threes. The Suns, their players, their personnel are 3-point shooters. So you live with the Suns shooting a lot of threes. The problem is the Clippers let them walk into open threes and basically get comfortable enough right out of the gates to be able to shoot all these threes. Like, they shot significantly more than they should have because they were getting the practice. They were basically getting the first quarter was like a shoot around. And that's unacceptable from a team that hangs their hat on defense. It was like nobody was communicating. Everybody was late to rotations, and there were plays where there was a play where Kawhi, this was in like the third quarter, but Kawhi and Amir, I think, or Kawhi and Norm, both chased Booker down at the 3-point line, doubled him, and then both backed off at the same time. And Booker just stood there, had about 2 seconds to think about shooting, and then shot a wide open three. So there was no communication at all. Kawhi and James really struggled offensively in this one. I think that our offense really wasn't the problem though. It was really the defense, and the 3-point attempts and the 3-point makes by the Suns are just a testament to that. It was unacceptable, and to me, this was the worst loss of the season because of the ramifications it has on the standings. Everything's super tight. I think right now, as it stands right now, on Wednesday the 28th, we're a full game behind the Lakers. I think we're like a game and a half ahead of the Suns. The Minnesota Timberwolves are closing in on us. And the biggest thing is that the Clippers lost their tiebreaker to the Suns. So now they've lost tiebreakers to the Suns, the Wolves, the OKC Thunder, and the Rockets, I'm pretty sure. So it's like if things start getting close, these games are going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off so bad. Like, we've had bad losses this season, but this one, just because I hate the Suns, and then also just what was at stake, and the fact that it was preventable, we should have won this one. This one pissed me off.
So
yeah, yeah. So I'm salty. So I'll take a bite, and then I'm gonna set my food
for
down.
This one, bro.
I'm getting full.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say, bro? It's tough to see. It's the Phoenix Suns, man. We've had a lot of battles against this team, against this franchise. They're in our division, right?
Yeah, they're in the Pac-Div.
Yeah,
am I tripping? Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Warriors, Lakers, and Suns. Sacramento?
Sacramento's in there too. Why am I drawing a blank on the divisions? Yeah, Pacific Division: Golden State, Clippers, Lakers, Phoenix Suns, Kings.
Gotcha.
You got it
right. Yeah, so they're in our division. We play them a lot. We've had a lot of playoff battles. A few years ago, we saw the shit talking between Devin Booker and Paul George. That kind of riled the Clippers up and kind of ignited that hatred. And at the end of the day, it just sucks to see us lose against this team. But
absolutely,
what can you do?
You can win and play defense. That's what you could do.
That's facts, and show that you actually want it.
Totally.
But that's it.
I don't want
that's
to harp
it
on
for
it too much.
Yeah, that's it for the recaps this week. We're gonna take a short break, and we'll get back to some comments on not free agency, the trade deadline coming up, and then we're gonna go over some previews for next week.
Absolutely, we will be right back, guys. Guys, we're back. I'm just gonna roll with it. I got a little case of the giggles right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm back. We're back. And we're just going to jump into a little quick segment of quick takes. I'm going to ask Rola a couple quick questions. He's going to give his quick takes. We're going to move right into previews, and then we'll probably call it a day. So let's get it started, Rola. First question, with the trade deadline coming up.
Uh-huh.
Already laughing, huh?
Yeah, I got the giggles too, bro.
Okay. With the trade deadline coming up, which is such an exciting time in the NBA, very excited for it. But this first question is not about the Clippers. The second one will be. But the first question pertaining to the trade deadline is... Excuse me. God, sorry, that salt is giving me the burps.
The fish breath?
Yeah, dude. That's tough, dude. What do you think about the Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox situations? For those that don't know, Jimmy Butler has been suspended 3 separate times by the Heat. He's made it very clear that he doesn't want to be with the Heat anymore. The relationship is beyond repair. He wants to be traded. And then De'Aaron Fox was kind of more recently very vocal with his discontent with the team, with the Sacramento Kings. Both are looking like they're on the move. Rola, what do you think about both of those situations real quick? Quickly give your your opinion on both situations, and where do you think that they go?
Yeah, so I think these are two very different situations. I'll start with the Jimmy Buckets situation. I think, we've had a lot of conversations on why the NBA ratings and viewership have been on the decline. And I think it's situations like these that people don't enjoy. Um, Jimmy Butler is on contracted. He should be.
He's under contract.
He's
is what
under.
You're trying to say, yeah.
He's under contract for this entire season, and because he wants an extension, because he wants more money, he is choosing not to play. And I feel like he is, for lack of a better term, acting like a diva, because he isn't getting what he wants. And is basically trying to force his hand, force the Miami Heat to trade him, which I do think that they should trade him. I think his time is over, but I don't think that he should sacrifice the product and sacrifice his word. And by word, I mean like the contract, to kind of force them to trade him. I mean, I believe he's a free agent this next round, or I'm not exactly sure what his contract situation is.
Let me look that up. Keep talking.
But I don't think that this is the right way to go about things. It feels like almost like a high school type drama fight at this point.
He's got a player option next year for $52 million,
so
which he will probably opt into.
Right. So he's got a player option next season. But like I was saying, this feels like kind of like a high school little petty argument, disagreement type of thing where he doesn't want to play, so he's not going to play. He's missing the bus, missing flights. Oh, I don't know if it's flights, but he's missing the bus. He's getting suspended. He's coming back. He's doing little things to get suspended to try to force his hand. And then, I heard I'm not sure if it was last night or two nights ago, the Miami Heat at shoot-around before the game started told Jimmy Butler that he wasn't started. Jimmy Butler kind of reacted and stormed off, and then they suspended him indefinitely. Which, I mean, he's going to get what he wants. They're most likely going to trade him because they have to at this point.
You have
because
to at this
point. The relationship is so damaged that they have to. But I just don't think that was the right way to go about things when it comes to Jimmy Butler's perspective. And it kind of makes you wonder. Back in the Timberwolves days, he had beef with Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, what kind of person he is. I mean,
or what kind of a teammate?
What kind of a teammate he is? What kind of like a co-worker he is? I mean, at the end of the day, this is their job, and to be acting like this to your employer is honestly unprofessional at the end of the day. And, that's that situation. I know this is a quick take, but I feel like I just had to get my thoughts out on that one. And then the De'Aaron Fox one, fair. I mean, I think the Kings are honestly moving in a different direction. I think this is something that, has to happen. I think De'Aaron Fox wants something for his career, and the Kings kind of want to head in a different direction. And, I mean, I think he would do really well on another team, but on the Kings right now, it just doesn't seem like it's the right fit for him.
Where do you think that, if you were to just name a team, where do you think that either of them are going?
So I think, from what I've heard from Adrian Wojnarowski, an ESPN insider.
Wait, Woj is still tweeting about...
Sorry, not Woj.
I was like, damn, dude.
Sorry,
did I miss?
Shams. Who's the other one?
Shams?
No. Is this name Adrian? Also?
Adrian Shams?
No, dude. Not Sean.
There's another Adrian?
No, I don't want to say something.
What's going on?
No, I don't want to say something disrespectful. but he's a little on the heavier side. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Brian Windhorst.
Brian Windhorst!
I love that was all you needed to say.
Yeah, Brian Windhorst.
We
Their
love
names are kind of similar.
Not at all.
Adrian, Brian, Windhorst.
Wojnarowski? Okay, they're both start with a W.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So Brian Windhorst mentioned this morning that I think the big rumor was Jimmy Buckets to the Suns, but Windhorst said earlier today that was most likely not going to happen. I guess the Suns have offered a decent amount of trade packages to the Miami Heat.
They traded away like the most coveted. For those that don't know, I'm going to sum it up real quick. The Utah Jazz traded with the Suns. Utah Jazz took on the Suns' 2031 pick, which is apparently supposed to be really good. I mean, which makes sense based on the trajectory of the Suns and everything. Mm-hmm. For 3 first-round picks, over the course of the next 5 years. That, to me, was a move gearing up for the Suns, ready to go all in on somebody.
Right.
That would be interesting.
That's what Wendy said.
Yeah.
I'm not an insider. I don't have people inside. I'm just going off of what I see when I listen in the morning.
Sure. So where do you think he's going?
I honestly have no idea. I don't know of any team that could truly use him. He seems to be a type of player that's, if he's not first, then he wants to be out. Sure. And I don't know what team is as of right now, and especially in his how deep he is in his career. I don't know who's willing to make him the first guy and make him the first priority. If it's not the Phoenix Suns.
What about De'Aaron?
But De'Aaron Fox, I honestly think he would be a great fit for the Spurs.
That's what I've heard. That there's mutual interest there.
Right, and we saw how SGA developed under Chris Paul's guidance. And I think, honestly, a similar thing could happen for De'Aaron Fox under Chris Paul's guidance. I mean,
I don't think Chris Paul would be there if De'Aaron Fox...
Oh, you think they would trade Chris Paul?
I don't even know if it'd be a trade. I would imagine that he would be redundant and they would probably just waive him.
Interesting.
I don't know if they can. I don't know what the contract... I don't know what the contract situation is. I'm just saying that because I want Chris Paul to be bought out and come back to the Clippers to play off our bench. That's what I want.
That's
my quick take. Yeah. He's not going to start next to Harden.
Nah, dude. I don't like that.
Imagine that.
I'd rather Chris Paul never come back.
Okay. Okay, so De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs.
That'd be like Blake Griffin coming back and playing off the bench, dude. It just doesn't.
No, because Blake Griffin's being held together with tape. Chris Paul can still play.
Chris Paul gets injured every single year.
Yeah, but he looked good this year. I know that's no shade to Blake. I love Blake. It's just a shame that what happened, injury history and everything like that. But I would say that Chris has been healthier than Blake was the last couple of years of his career.
I guess.
But yeah, okay. So De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs is your guess.
That's my final guess.
Okay, I would probably agree. I think that probably makes the most sense. I have a feeling that I've heard that the Rockets are also players in the Fox sweepstakes. I do think that the Rockets have more to give up. Dude. The Rockets have more to give up. They could easily package like Fred VanVleet, Tari Eason, Jayshawn Tate, Cam Whitmore, or something like that. Any pairing of those, and I think Fox would make them a lot better. That's it could be anybody, but we will have to see in the next week or so. Things will definitely start picking up, and I would imagine both of those guys get traded before the deadline. Yeah. I would say it could be any minute, any day now. But my second question to end this quick take segment is, and this one's more Clippers-centric, I'm going to preface this by saying that the Clippers, I think, are probably going to be less aggressive than what people think in the trade deadline or before the trade deadline this year. As it stands right now, the Clippers are, I think, a couple $1 million over the first apron, or I don't know how the breakdown works, but I know that the Clippers are really trying to shed salary and get below the luxury tax, and put a premium on having financial flexibility and free agency a couple years down the road. So I've heard that the Clippers are looking to make margin moves, acquire guys that aren't making a ton of money. Two names that have come up are Chris Boucher from the Raptors and Robert Williams that currently plays for the Portland Trailblazers. So two big men. As we've seen with Mo Bamba, he hasn't been great, in his time with the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the Clippers could use some front court depth. But what do you think that the Clippers should do at the deadline? What moves should they make? Should they make a big move? Should they prioritize that financial flexibility? Should they absorb a big contract? What do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. It depends on what direction we're trying to go.
Yeah.
Like if and I don't have any insiders into the Clippers. I don't really know what the plan is for the future. But if we're trying to, I honestly don't know. Because if we're still trying to go after a championship this year, then I think that Chris Boucher would be a good pickup. I think either one of them is a good pickup. But I think if we're trying to be a championship level team, if we're trying to compete with a Celtics or with an OKC, I think we need another big time player. And if not, then I think we got to get rid of people and start anew. I mean, we're looking at these younger teams. We're looking at the Spurs. They pick up De'Aaron Fox. How good they're going to be. They're going to be young. They'll have Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, a two-man young duo to compete with an OKC team that's super young.
Don't forget about Devin Vassell and so on and all those guys.
We're looking at the Rockets, who are a young team that look really good. Who did they beat last night?
The Rockets?
The Celtics, right?
I have no idea.
The Rockets beat the Celtics last
night.
Amin Thompson hit a game winner against the Celtics last night.
Okay.
And I'm bringing that up to say, like, a lot of these teams are young and really good. And that means that for the next 5-6 years, they're going to be, at least decent every single season, right? And I think that we got to figure out what we're trying to do. And I don't think that decision is going to be made by the trade deadline. So I think it's kind of just one of those things where we're hoping for the best case scenario to end the season.
Yeah, and I think maintaining flexibility in the salary cap is a way to kind of do both. Because we've been a good team for the most part all season long. We have an identity. Mm-hmm. We have really good pieces. I do think that there's holes in our roster, the biggest of which is probably our backup center position. I do think making a trade for a decent budget big, maybe another ball handler, because Kevin Porter, he's shown flashes this season, but he's cost the Clippers big time at times too. Mm-hmm. Do the Clippers go out and say screw the cap or screw the finance situation or the money thing and go out and get like a guy like Colin Sexton or something like that? I don't know. Colin Sexton's going to be making like $18 million, I think, next year. And I think he's under contract the year after that too. But basically, I think the first order business to wrap all this up would probably be, and the most clear thing to do is get rid of Bones and get rid of PJ Tucker. You're shedding, that alone.
Dude, I forgot PJ Tucker was on our team.
I know. He's collecting $11 million to just sit at home.
Oh.
But basically trying to shed those two contracts. Yeah. Trying to shed those two contracts, get under the luxury tax, and then bring in a couple budget players. I think that's the way to go because the Clippers do have a nucleus that works this season. Norman Powell is really continuing. Barring any injuries, I think the Clippers can hang with anybody if they add the right pieces. They don't have to be anything crazy, but I think a couple pieces could benefit the Clippers at the deadline. That's my hot take or quick take on the situation. We'll have to see. The deadline's literally, a couple weeks away, a week and a half away. So a lot of these questions will be answered whether or not today or tomorrow or in the next coming days. They'll be answered very shortly. So we will have to see, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about on next episode. But I think that really does it for quick takes. I think we should jump into the previews for the next series of games real quick. it will be the San Antonio Spurs, the Charlotte Hornets, and the Toronto Raptors, all on the road. But I think that despite the games being on the road, I do think that this is going to be a good stretch for the Clippers to kind of get back. After a horrible defensive showing against the Suns, get back to playing, winning basketball. The Clippers have done really well at handling business against the lower tier teams this season, and all three of these teams, the Spurs kicked our ass last time, but overall, I think it's a team that we should beat. I think
The
that
Spurs
this
did
is a
not
good.
kick our ass last time.
Yeah, they did.
I don't
They
think
did.
so.
Oh yeah,
The San Antonio Spurs?
San Antonio Spurs. The last game that we played the Spurs, we lost 122-86
Oh.
in San Antonio.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Shit.
that one was
My
horrible.
bad. Yeah.
But I think that
Yeah, we got torched, dude.
these three games, starting with hopefully a retribution game from the Clippers against the Spurs tomorrow, will be a way to get back on track. So let's just jump right into that game, Rola. A game against the San Antonio Spurs. I think everybody, for the most part, is going to be available to play for the Spurs. What are you looking for in this one?
I mean, so what I was confused about was the first game against the San Antonio Spurs, we beat them. Second game, we got torched. And in this game, I'm looking for adjustments, different defensive assignments. I think that this Spurs team has a lot of energy. I mean, I believe their last game was in Paris. I mean,
They had the two game exhibition thing in Paris.
Yeah, so they're coming off a high. That's where Wembanyama is from. I think this is going to be a tough battle, but I don't think this is anything we haven't seen or can't defeat.
Yeah, I think that one thing to look in this game, look to in this game, which is something we touched on when we previewed the last Spurs matchup, is Zoo's been we talk about Norman Powell being eligible or being making a case for being an All-Star this season. I think Zoo has had just as good of a season. I think that he should be in the most improved player conversation. He's been awesome. He was the one guy against the Suns last night that I could say got a pass. He was incredible. He was getting fouled constantly by Mason Plumlee. He had probably had like 3 or 4 and ones. Didn't get the foul calls. But he's finishing through contact, and he's powering it through, dunking on everybody just the same. Zoo in the past probably would have been shaken up by not getting a call, or he wouldn't have played as aggressive. But he's been awesome. The thing I'm looking for in this one is Zoo going to be able to hang with Wemby when Wemby starts to stretch the floor? Is Ty going to elect to go small? Because if he doesn't, or if Wemby's not shooting well from beyond the arc, I really do expect Zoo to have a dominant game in this one. He's bigger and stronger than Wemby. He can hold his own in the paint. If Wemby starts to put the ball on the deck and try to take it to the hoop, I'm looking for Zoo to be extremely dominant in this one if Wemby's not stretching him out too much.
Right.
But that's pretty much it for the Spurs. I mean, hopefully everybody else plays. One thing also to look to is Chris Dunn's missed the last 3 games with a knee sprain or something like that. He was really missed in the Suns game. His defensive pressure. Hopefully Chris Dunn. I haven't heard any word. He might be out already, listed as out. But if he's listed as questionable, I really do hope Chris Dunn plays in this one. Just to kind of handle Devin Vassell and Chris Paul at the point of attack, kind of try to get the ball out of their hands and keep them from getting Wemby involved. But the next game is going to be a matchup against the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets have been pretty. I mean, they've looked better when they've been healthy this season, but the problem is they really haven't been healthy this season. LaMelo Ball's missed some time. Mark Williams. I think Mark Williams has played. He's already played more than he did last season, but he's missed a couple games as well. And now Brandon Miller is out for the season. He's their second best player. He had a really, really strong start to the season. Really incredible young scorer.
What happened?
He tore something in his wrist and had to get surgery. So the Hornets will be without him as well. That really helps. I know that LaMelo left halfway through the game against the Lakers, I think a few days
Hmm.
ago with an ankle sprain. I don't know if
Yeah.
he's coming back. I don't know what the status of his injury is in that one, but if the Hornets don't have LaMelo Ball and certainly don't have Brandon Miller, the Clippers really need to take advantage of this one. They play fast, so the Clippers need to make sure that they're not letting the Hornets get out in transition.
Hmm.
Um, but again, we've seen games like this all season long, and for the most part, the Clippers have really rose to the occasion. Do you have anything for this one, Rola? Or
Not really. I mean, this is a game the Clippers should win. I think LaMelo Ball isn't going to be playing. I'm looking at ESPN analytics right now. And the Clippers have an 89% chance of winning the game.
great.
So I mean, I
That
think
makes
that
me
tells
less
you.
comfortable
I think that
for
tells you
some
all you
reason.
need to know about the expectations.
Yeah. Bottom line, the Clippers need to try and win this one. Um, there's not really much else to take away from that. I mean, it is going to be on the road. It's going to be the third game on the road trip, so hopefully tired legs
Mm-hmm.
don't bite the Clippers in the ass against a young team that likes to run. But Clippers should be able to handle business in this one. The final game in this series of games is going to be against the Toronto Raptors. Now, this is a noon game. Well, it's a noon game Pacific time, but it'll be, I don't know, what's the time change? What time would it be in Canada? I have
I
no
don't know,
idea.
dude. What part of also? Yeah, what part of
Toronto.
Canada? Oh,
Toronto.
it'll be 3 hours ahead. 9, 10,
Okay.
11, 12.
Still an early game. It will be the fourth game. Excuse me, the fourth game on the road trip. So again, if the Clippers can kind of take care of tired legs and put the Hornets away early in the game prior, I like their chances against the Raptors. The Raptors are going to be a little bit tougher. They play a little bit more physical. They're bigger. They have more of their players available. They got Bruce Brown back. He's been contributing. Scotty Barnes is back. He's had a good season so far. RJ Barrett, I believe he's healthy as well. They have guys that can really, chip in and score. I
Hmm.
think this one's going to be a little bit difficult, but again, the Clippers should try and win this one. Especially if Kawhi's playing. I would like to. Kawhi usually does pretty well against his former team. If he is playing in this one, I would love to see him have a strong showing against the Raptors in this one.
I mean, I agree. I think Kawhi one will have the motivation. This is obviously his former team, former franchise. Um, but also on paper, I think that like I said, or like you said earlier, these types of teams, I feel like the Clippers have done a good job in beating the teams that we're supposed to, and I think this is a team that we're supposed to beat. And I believe we already beat them earlier this season, so
We have.
we kind of have the blueprint, and obviously adjustments are going to have to be made as players are healthy and get back. But I think this is one we should take.
Absolutely. The last time that these two teams saw each other, I believe, was a little bit closer than we would have liked to see, but it was a 105 to 103 win for the Clippers. So hopefully they can continue the streak against the Toronto Raptors, make it 3 wins in a row. That'd be awesome, especially coming after just a horrible game against the Phoenix Suns. With everything so close and with tiebreakers being lost left and right, Clippers really need to take care of business. Especially with the All Star break coming. I don't know when is the All Star break typically.
I have
March.
absolutely no idea.
I would imagine sometime around then, the Clippers will have time to rest. So kind of just get through this stretch of games until then, and try and get a little win streak going because the Clippers are certainly capable of it, and this is a nice little stretch of schedule to make things a little bit easier. So. Yeah, that pretty much does it for the previews, guys. We'll come back to you probably on Sunday, and we'll be recapping the game from earlier that day against the Raptors. We'll hopefully have some stuff to talk about in terms of trades, maybe some more news, maybe something will actually happen, some early trades. But there will be no shortage of things to talk about, I am sure, on next episode, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. As Rola said up top, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Deezer. Reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram. Let us know what you guys think of the pod. Let us know how disgusted you were about me eating food on the podcast for about 30 minutes straight. Um, Give us all of your input, and we thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, guys, let's go Clips.
Go Clips.